Welcome to another ranking video. This is Dustin with Dragon Army, and we are going to rank the first set of books that I've read in the year 2020. So for the first 6 months leading up to July, we're going to go through very quickly those 40 books. Read 40 books. Now, some of them were graphic novels, but went through 40 different titles in the first 6 months. And then there will be a part 2 to this video at the end of the year where I go through the second half of the year and all the books that I've read. So without further ado, let's try to remember as much as possible and go through these 40 books. Now, the order here is in reading order. So at the start of the year in January, first few days, finished up Bright We Burn. And here at the end of the month of June, finished 2001 A Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke. Two totally different kind of books with everything in between. So we'll quickly go through here. You see the different categories. Nothing's new here. S, A, B, C, and D. D being the worst among these, and S being the far superior. Nothing's better. We'll see where these land. I've read a lot of good books this year, by the way. So let's just start there. I've read probably more good books this year than in previous years. Last 2 years, I believe, on Goodreads at least, like my average was 3 stars, which out of 5, that kind of makes sense. But I think this year it's going to be closer to 4.5. I read a lot of good books. This is going off memory. Sometimes my memory is poor, so this might not correlate completely with my Goodreads account, but we'll try our best. Bright We Burn by Kiersten White. It is the epic conclusion to this series, and not only is the artwork on the front impeccable, the story itself is incredible. It is historical fantasy. Everyone should read this. And I Darken, Bright We Burn, and another book is the third one that sounds like that, and I'm not being able to remember it right now, but this third and final book, the conclusion to the series, epic, incredible. It's a retelling of Vlad the Impaler, but Vlad is a girl, and it's wonderful. Absolutely incredible. One of my favorite series of all time. Definitely in the top 10 series of all time that I've read. Mistborn, The Final Empire. I've most certainly read it before. This is a reread, probably my 3rd, 4th, or 5th reread. I don't know. Oh, my brother was reading The Final Empire for the first time. Is that what was happening? Someone was reading it, and I was like, let me reread it with you. And, I mean, the classic tale of Vin. This is Brandon Sanderson, of course. Now, she's going to go to the top because it's one of my favorite series of all time. I know I just said that Bright We Burn and that series is in the top 10, and it is, but Mistborn is one of the top 3. And then we've got this piece of crap. I mean, it's going straight to D. So if you've been tracking with the channel, I'm systematically going through the Disney canon of Star Wars in chronological order. And so not of publication, but of like when it's actually happening in the galaxy. So now in real time, I'm watching through Clone Wars, enjoying it immensely. But this graphic novel leading up to the Clone Wars, is absolute garbage. Mace Windu, fine character, purple lightsaber, that's amazing, but the story was bad, and the artwork is one of the worst pieces of artwork that I've ever seen in a graphic novel. Don't read it unless you have to. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, my first Joe Abercrombie book. My introduction maybe even to Grimdark. I liked a lot of it, but it took so long to get to it. These books tend to move slow and they're very character driven. And so it took me a while to enjoy the characters. They're terrible, all of them in their own right, but by the end, I started to like them. And so The Blade Itself, it's not, some people I would understand why it's like some of your favorite literature. Grimdark, I'm finding, is not my genre, although I respect it, and I'm glad I'm reading it, and I'm going to bring myself to read the conclusion of this first trilogy at some point. But with this first book, The Blade Itself, for me, it's gonna be a B. Recursion, a sci-fi novel that a lot of people freaked out about. This had to do with time travel, right? They continually came back. A lot of people like this, and I have no idea why. I think that it's bad. I don't remember what I ended up giving it because it's not like the worst thing ever. It's probably the lowest of C. I'm going to reserve D for like, D stands for darbage or drash, which is garbage and trash. Recursion, sci-fi, time travel, weird, didn't care about the characters, some kind of love story at some point, and it just definitely doesn't work for me. The Reckless Oath We Made by Bryn Greenwood is the second book that I've read from her. I read All the Ugly and Wonderful Things. It's something along those lines. This is not a sequel. This is a totally different story about a young autistic guy who fantasizes himself as a knight, like in Shining Armor type knight, and talks like that. And it's just a story, a tale of his friendships and of gain and loss. And it's beautiful. Bryn writes so poetically and creates really good stories. I enjoyed it more than The Blade itself. It's probably going to be in the A tier for me. It's perfect film material here in The Reckless Oath We Made. Really loved it. Speaking of film material, we got Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express, which has been made into a film at least twice. And it's obviously epic. Agatha Christie is an incredible artist when it comes to her storytelling and her mysteries. I already knew the reveal here in Murder on the Orient Express because I had seen the movie before I had read the book, which if I didn't, how much greater it would have been reading this. I will say, while the story and the characters are great, there are so many characters that it's easy to get lost. And so I didn't connect with all of the characters. It's hard to compare some of these books to one another, right? Because like Murder on the Orient Express and The Blade itself are two totally different kinds of genre, two totally different kinds of literature, but we're probably going to have even more problems like that leading up. Murder on the Orient Express is great. Let's move it above The Reckless Oath right now. Top of the A tier is where we'll go. The Poppy War. Some of you are going to get angry at me because this is your, the fantasy nerds love this book and love this series right now, and I get it, and I don't. It's not bad. I just didn't connect with the characters. And the story seemed to flip-flop. It didn't know what it was trying to be. It started as one thing, like in a school with training, and then it went to this like global war scale, not global, but epic war scale, and just so many just weird, crazy things going on in this book, and I didn't connect with it. And I'm not planning to read the rest of the series. I am reading the rest of The Blade itself. So the series that follows that. So let's put it, for me, I know this is crazy, at the top of the C category. Definitely enjoyed it more than Recursion, but just got lost on me. Maybe I need to read it again. Maybe it's my fault, but whatever. Then we've got Wonder. I never saw was it a movie? But I every once in a while want to read some middle grade literature and fiction, and this is one that I read, and I'm so glad that I did. So many feelings as I read this book. Definitely in the A. I think that's where it belongs. It is a well-written story with great characters. Augie, this young boy that has a facial deformity, and it's about him living with that. I think he's 8 years old. He's got an older sister, and just them navigating life with this. It could have been better. It could have been better. It could have been like the top of the tier for what this is, but there was no like. In my opinion, there was no like climax or there was no like Augie, the main character, going to the pit. And I like that because it was just like, okay, I don't have to like weep uncontrollably while reading this. But it may have made for a better story. There. It's good, and I enjoyed it. Could have been better. This is where it gets weird. Digital minimalism is not a fantasy. It is not a sci-fi. It is not a fiction. It is all about like living your life, making technology work for you rather than you work for technology. It's not letting technology rule you. It's using it in a way that benefits you and doesn't drain you. But how do I compare it to all of these things, right? Maybe I shouldn't have even included them, but it was a book that I read. I try to intersperse leadership, spiritual growth, help me be a better person books every once in a while. So they're going to be in this list because I read them. It's one of the 40 books that I read. I should have had a different category for these, but we're just, for now, we're going to put them on here. It's A territory, probably something like that. Weird. I'm moving on. The Alchemist. It's a split love. Some people love it. Some people hate it. It is an allegory. It is like straight allegory and in your face, but it's good, man. I loved it. It will be a regular read for me, maybe annually, because it's quick. It will be a book that I want to buy and hand out some, because I think it teaches some really good principles. And it's definitely S tier for me. I'll leave it there for now because I do appreciate these other two books a little bit more, but still very different category and really loved it. Sinless Sins. I'm going to put it at the top of the A category, and I'll say this. Sinless Sins I've bragged on a lot this year because it came out of left field. It was an indie treasure. It's so good, and it's a creation of the Tower of Babel, and it's kind of like sci-fi, steampunk-esque, but Josiah Bancroft has done really a masterpiece here with Sinless Sins, and then his storytelling only gets better as the series progresses, which we'll talk about shortly. Love Sinless Sins. What is this? The Sworn Sword, which is the second graphic novel in the Dunkin' Egg series. Is that what it's called? Dunkin' Donuts? It's a great Game of Thrones prequel graphic novel based off of short stories, something along those lines, and I love them. I think there's 3 of them. Read one of them last year, the second one here at the start of this year. I've got to read the third, maybe in these next 6 months, but I love it. It's really, really good art, really, really good stories, and it would only mean so much more to me if I have ever seen a Game of Thrones or read A Song of Ice and Fire, which I've done neither. And so I'm missing a lot of the connections here as they say family names and as we come across certain people that you would probably know if you know that series or have read the books. Probably going to set it there for now. That's a good place for it. Again, graphic novels versus traditional novels. All of this is a little bit weird. Did I grab that out of order? Doing Time. Jodi Taylor, a new series. A lot of people sleep on Jodi Taylor. They don't even know the girl. She writes this fantasy sci-fi time travel, really good stuff. This is a second series that parallels partially with her main series that has to do with the school and St. Mary's. The Chronicles of St. Mary's is her main series, and this is a secondary series about the time police. I didn't enjoy it as much. It's still good. Her writing is still great. She's dealing with characters, a few at least, that I know and love from the previous series, but it's not near as good as the Chronicles of St. Mary's. I'll put it at the bottom of the B territory for now. That's what we'll do. All right, The Testaments. The late sequel to The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, simply brought on because, I guess, of the success of the television series, who talks like that? The Netflix series. Loved The Handmaid's Tale, rocked my world. Incredible world building that was all lost here as she tried to answer all of the unknowns that could have remained unknown in the first book, and doing it through 3 POVs. Some good storytelling, but man, it just doesn't have that charm that the first one has, and it didn't need to be written. I enjoyed it more than those two, but still, no, I mean, Handmaid's Tale would be up there in the S or A territory for me, but not The Testaments. Not The Testaments. In fact, I would just say read Handmaid's Tale and be done. That's fine. It's a really good story. Leave it at that. We're into a few graphic novels now. The Mouse Guard series. I've already read the majority of them. This is the third, and not final because he's wanting to write more, but this is the third entry in the Mouse Guard chronology, and it's called Mouse Guard Black Axe, and it's these medieval mice, by the way, these anthropomorphized mice in medieval time type thing, and they have to survive against hawks and serpents and all of these things. This is the tale, I think it's a prequel, of the Black Axe, this mysterious powerful axe that can fell any creature. It's great. I love this series. This isn't the best of the best in the series, but it is exceptionally good. I'll probably put it there. Probably enjoyed it in that order. And then the Baldwin the Brave tells of Baldwin the Brave and other stories. This is a kind of like compilation of short stories in the same universe, and it's a lot of fun. It's different. Man, it's one of my We've got some good stories there. For now, I'm going to set it just right beside Black Axe. I don't remember which one I enjoyed more, but I remember enjoying both of them. This is spring, like 1153, something like that. It's another Mouse Guard entry. I almost didn't include this one because it's not fully like a graphic novel. It's a lot shorter than the other ones, but I wanted to be able to complete the catalog in my Goodreads, so I've included this, and it doesn't add anything. There, that's where I'm going to put that. And then finally, with Mouse Guard, Legends of the Guard, probably a really cool idea that I'd never seen done before. The author of the Mouse Guard brought in friends and other artists, illustrators, storytellers to write a story, to tell a story in his universe, in the Mouse Guard universe. Love this premise. It's going to be up here in the A. We'll split those up. So we've got mice all over this place now. Okay, we've got the second book now in the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, The Blade itself being the first one. Before They Are Hanged, I didn't like as much. It's a lot slower, even more characters should try to keep up with. And then the conclusion let me down. And so, and they're traveling this whole time. It's just so slow. It didn't work for me. It's going to be in the C. I know, again, that's not terrible. It's just probably top of the C for me. The Lies of Locke, a book that a lot of people love, that for all intents and purposes, is that how you say that phrase? I should have enjoyed, because it is like a heist and they're about thieves, and I'll always remember some of the characters and the world building that Scott Lynch does, but I didn't enjoy his writing style, and I'm not going to read any more in this series. It's probably bottom of the B category for me. I understand why people like it. I wanted to, I just didn't. We've got White Sands Volume 2, straight to the trash pile. Is it worse? It's probably not worse than the Mace Windu one. Brandon Sanderson is an incredible author, one of my favorite world builders, storytellers, magic system creators, and he tried to do it in a graphic novel and it was trash. Halfway through this volume 2, they switch illustrators and it goes from really trash to a little bit less trash, but still really bad illustrations. I don't know what he's doing here, and it just was not good. Arm of the Sphinx was the second book in the Sinless Sins and the Tower of Babel series. I didn't like it near as much. In fact, this has been one of probably my least favorite in the series thus far. Arm of the Sphinx, man, where is it? It's in the B territory because it's still really good. Maybe bottom of B. Did I like it more than Lies of Locke Lamora? I don't think I did. I think it's something like that. That's probably where I found it. Still really good writing, still really good characters. What I loved in Sinless Sins was the mystery of the tower and the different ringdoms, the different levels and floors. And in Arm of the Sphinx, you only have like 2 of them, and none of them are new really. And so a lot of that was lost on me. But now I know where he was going, and so it makes sense. I Am Legend. I didn't read the other stories by Richard Matheson. I started reading this as Corona and COVID were taking place, and so Locke at Home, I wanted to read something dark, depressing, and virusy, and this definitely filled it for me. It's a really short story, but it's really well told, and I love, love, love the end. Because I had forgotten. I had watched the Will Smith movie, but I had forgotten. So it's a short story. It's weird to put this against some of these others. It's not the greatest. It's definitely better than Digital Minimalism, right? Yeah. Why is I'm gonna leave it for now. Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. This is her first kind of like adult fantasy fiction sci-fi thing. The premise is amazing. It's the heroes 10 years after they defeated the Dark One. And all of like the PTSD and depression and anxiety and fame and everything that comes with defeating the Dark One. but half of the book is one thing and then the other half is another. I don't like when they do that. It flips it on its head. It goes a weird place, and I never connected with the characters, not once. So it wasn't great for me. Definitely liked it better than some of these. For now, it's going to be top of the C category. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is the first book in the Oz series. Reading this along with my wife as we go through all 14, I believe, of the Wizard of Oz books. And it's great. It tells the story. It's a children's book, and it's weird and it's delightful. I would probably place it. It's not going to be S tier. The movie's S tier. They did really good things with the movie, but it all came from this source material. Where do I place The Wizard of Oz again? Where to put up against some of these books? For me, I think it's like that. It's probably there. A, center of the A, really enjoyed it. WARBREAKER blew my mind. I don't know why it's taken me so long to read this standalone for now novel by Brandon Sanderson, but it was great. He wrote it in the midst of writing the Mistborn trilogy, so I don't like it as much, but love it, and I'm so glad that I read it, and I don't know why it took me so long. It's definitely in the A tier. It's probably top of the A tier. I loved reading WARBREAKER, but not as much as Sinlin of Sins. That's probably where it lands. Somewhere along there, we'll come back and look at it. Another weird one, The Power of Moments. It's like capturing the moments and making them yours, but it's somewhat unmemorable. I don't remember what I rated it, but here in my memory, it's probably somewhere in the C tier. It's not bad, but it's not memorable. I'm going to put it right there for now. Childhood's End. Every once in a while, I like to come back and do some classic sci-fi that I had missed along the way. This is one of those by Arthur C. Clarke. And man, it's about an invasion, but a really different kind of storytelling of an invasion. Not my favorite storytelling, not the best writing, but a really good classic sci-fi novel. I'm going to put it above those for what it is and below those in the middle of the B. Annihilation, the first of the, Reach trilogy, something like that. A lot of people like this sci-fi book. I didn't at all. In fact, it's going to be in the D. It's not near as bad as those two graphic novels. I didn't like it really at all. It was not enjoyable. It was not fun. I didn't connect to the nameless characters. Surprise, surprise. And nothing really happened in the story. Nothing was revealed. I know I'm supposed to read the rest of the series, but I'm definitely not going to. And then Sarah J. Maas. She wrote Crescent City. It's a new it's House of Earth and Blood in the Crescent City series. Brand new series by Sarah J. Maas. I get it. Very fantasy. Took way too many pages to tell the story. Didn't love the characters, but loved her world building. So that's where we're at. Did I like it more than Chosen Ones? Yes. Did I like it more than Arm of the Sphinx? No. Are we going to put it there? We're probably going to put it there. It's either top of the C, bottom of the B, right around there. Not terrible, and I get if you like it, but it just didn't work fully for me, probably because I didn't connect mainly with the main character. Another Brandon Sanderson book that I hadn't read, The Rithmatist, a young adult novel that has a magic system, but it's all about like drawing with chalk and those chalklings then coming to life and battling. But the main character doesn't have that ability, doesn't have the magic. It's like someone going to Hogwarts, but not being a muggle going to Hogwarts. Cool premise, right? Brandon Sanderson is king. It's not as good as WARBREAKER. Is it in the A? Is it in the B? It's definitely in the A. It's probably... It's there. It's definitely there. I got a lot in the A, but I told you from the beginning that I've read a lot of really good books this year. So the balance is kind of playing out that way. The Marvelous Land of Oz is the second book in the Oz series. And here we depart from what a lot of you know and love from the Wizard of Oz, the movie, and we go to some of the material used in the Return to Oz movie that a lot less people know, but it's a good story. Did I like it more Did I like it more or less than The Wonderful Wizard of Oz? For now, I'm going to put it top of the B, just because I don't fully remember what my feelings were on that one. For Children of Blood and Bone, this was fun, a really good, fresh fantasy read, but I didn't love it as much as some people did, but I totally get why they do. I didn't like it as much as Crescent City. Did I like it more than Chosen Ones? I don't think I did. So it's going to be there for me. I know that makes it seem bad. I'm not going to read the rest of the series, so that's where it's going to fall for me. Then I read the Hunger Games trilogy in 24 hours, which probably skewed my view here, but still. The Hunger Games set it all up. A lot of people like Catching Fire better, and I completely understand why, but I think that you can't beat this first one. It's good. It's good. Sue me. Like, it's really good. There's a reason why this series remained there, and it didn't create, but it helped to put on the main stage again the battle like domain that takes place. There's probably a genre for that. Catching Fire, a lot of people like this one even more. In this reread, I didn't like it as much, although it does expand the story even more. It takes a long time to get to the games, which I hadn't remembered in the first one. It's definitely A territory. I'm going to put it there for now, which means Mockingjay, my least favorite of the three, because it just it takes you to a totally different place. But it's still really good. It's probably going to be bottom of the A or top of the B. No? There. I know that's weird. Boom, boom, boom. That's where we're going to put it for now. We'll check it over in just a moment. We've got The Witches, another middle grade, but very dark. Scary read. Man, I liked it. Let's see. Let's compare it to Wonder first. I had never watched this movie, by the way, or knew the story. It's not as good as Wonder, definitely not as good. Not as good as Doing Time, even. It's not as good as Lies of Locke, MORA, Arm of the Sphinx. For now, we're gonna put it bottom of B, which means it was all right. It was fine. And then The Rage of Dragons is S. It's the debut novel of Evan Winter, and it blew me away. It's everything that I want in fantasy. It was a combination of like Ender's Game and Red Rising, two of my favorite books of all time. And this is great. I'm going to read it again. Can't wait for the second book that comes out later this year. I definitely loved it more than Alchemist. For now, we're gonna put it there. That's saying a lot, but that's what I believe. And then finally, goodness, took some time. I tried to go through this quickly. 2001: A Space Odyssey, another classic sci-fi. I didn't love it. We had 3 different stories being told throughout it. I bet the movie is better, actually. HAL, HAL, that computer thing, has such a small role to play in this book. But it's good. It's good classic sci-fi. It's probably going to be here in the C tier. Where though? I'm going to place it between Poppy War and the Testaments. Now, let me look through here, make any adjustments, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, I made just a few changes here. Let's see, what did I do? I moved Warbreaker to the top of the A tier, above Sinless Sins. I moved Rithmatist way up here, from kind of like back here, just because, man, Brandon Sanderson is king, most certainly. I moved Digital Minimalism down because it was bothering me being so far up. Those were a few of the changes I made, but here is my final look at the first 6 months, first 40 books that I read in the year 2020. Thank you for watching another one of these videos. If you liked what you saw, make sure to click like, and if you haven't yet, join the Dragon Army by clicking subscribe. And comment down below, what books should I read this next year? And goodness, where did I get some of these wrong? Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next video.